It's not the crowd, it's not the pitch, and it's not the travel. The reason you shrink in away games is physical. It's what's physically happening inside your brain. Once you understand how to train that part of your brain, you can walk out anywhere, Wembley, Old Trafford, the Den, and you can feel completely at home, because that is what the elite pros that I personally work with are doing right now. They don't just cope with away games, they thrive in them. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to do the same. But before we dive in, I'm going to say this quickly. If you want the visualization sequence that I'm going to walk you through later, it's free in my newsletter. Thousands of players are already using it every week to prepare for games. Now, I will remind you later, but if you're serious about your game, make sure that you sign up for that free newsletter that's in the description. But do that after you've watched the video. Because now, if you've ever stepped onto an away pitch and you felt maybe a bit off, maybe slower, disconnected, like your body and your mind aren't quite syncing, you're off the pace, this is going to change how you prepare forever. Because this isn't mindset fluff. It's physical training for your brain. Now, my name's Mark Bowden. I work personally with Premier League and Championship players every week. I also wrote the best-selling book, Use Your Brain, Raise Your Game, and I'm the co-owner of NXT Football Agency, where we represent players competing at the highest level of football. Now, what I teach, it's not theory. It's being used right now by the very best pros who have played their way to Wembley, to promotion and into the Premier League. And one of those players is a player called Gabe Osho. And his story perfectly illustrates what I'm about to talk to you about. Now, when Luton Town reached the Championship playoff final, they were one game away from the Premier League. And Gabe, a player who I work with, he sent me a message a week before the match. It was just a photo, a picture of a ticket to the FA Vase final at Wembley, a game between two non-league teams. And to be quite honest, it left me baffled at first. Why is a player one game away from the Premier League going to a match between two non-league teams? And more so, why is he sending me a picture of the ticket? Why do I care about that? Now, it was strange to receive it, but when he told me his plan, it made perfect sense. Now, he said, I'm not going to just watch it, I'm going to live it. Now, he was going to spend the whole game conditioning his brain to feel at home on that pitch, at that stadium, Wembley Stadium. Every minute, he was imagining himself there, feeling the surface, hearing the noise, seeing himself dominate duels, great passes, commanding the game, dominating. And for 90 minutes, he wasn't watching football, he was training his nervous system. And when the real day came, same stadium, same tunnel, same roar, he played like he belonged there. Calm, composed, and absolutely dominant. He was one of the standout performers as Luton earned promotion to the Premier League. Now, that story is proof that what I do with players is not fluff, and it certainly isn't just motivational talk. It's neuroconditioning. Now, let's break down exactly why that worked and how you can do the same. Now, here's what's actually happening in your brain. When you walk out into a new environment, a different stadium, a new tunnel, new smell, new sounds, your prefrontal cortex, it lights up. Now, this part of your brain is what deals with unfamiliar information. It starts scanning what's new, what's different, what might go wrong. Now, that extra activity, it burns energy. So glucose, oxygen, all of what help your attention, all of which normally you use for playing football. It's like having a phone full of apps that are running in the background. Your battery drains before you've even kicked the ball. That is why your first touch feels heavier, where your awareness feels narrow, why your timing feels half a second off, and why you can sometimes feel exhausted come kickoff time. It's why some players think that the travel has left them mentally exhausted, but it is not the travel. You are neurologically overloaded. Now, at home, it's the opposite. Everything's familiar. the routine, the smells, the walkout, your brain is now on autopilot. So all of that freed up energy goes straight into your game. That's the difference. Not nerves, not confidence, brain bandwidth. And that is what Gabe did. And that's what I train all of my players to do. We get them to teach their brain to treat away environments as familiar before they even get there. When you visualize vividly, and I mean in detail, not vague pictures, your brain, it doesn't fully distinguish between imagination and reality. It fires the same neural pathways. It activates the same circuits in your brain as if you were actually there. What it's actually doing is it's wrapping them in a substance called myelin, like insulation around a wire. Every time you repeat the visualization, that insulation gets thicker. The signal between the brain and the body becomes faster, smoother, more automatic. So when you eventually walk out at that ground for real, your brain recognizes it. It says, I've been here before. I know this. And in fact, every time I've been here, I have absolutely dominated. Keeps your nervous system calm. And that is exactly why Gabe could step out onto that Wembley pitch and feel like it was home. Now here's the same system I coach my Premier League, my Championship players through. Now first of all, ground that familiarization. Start simple. First, maybe images or YouTube clips of the stadium that you're going to. Look at the tunnel, the stands, the dugout, and picture walking it. Now close your eyes. Walk the pitch in your mind. Feel the grass under your boots. Hear the hum of the crowd. And do this every single day in the week leading up to the game. You're building a database in your brain so that when you actually arrive, it feels like you've already been there. It feels familiar. Now, secondly, is the performance conditioning. Once you've mapped the stadium, layer in your performance. See yourself there playing well. Executing the things that you do best, maybe your first touch, your scanning, your 1v1 defending, your calmness in possession. Feel the emotion of it, confidence, control in that flow state. Now this isn't daydreaming, you're building that myelin around the exact neural circuits that drive your performance. That is why the elite players that I work with make things look easy. They've rehearsed them mentally hundreds of times. Number 3 is to use sensory anchors. So give your brain a constant. So music, a smell, a simple ritual, maybe tape, Vicks, stretching sequences, something physical that tells your nervous system, we've been here before. And this is what I call anchoring safety. You're conditioning your body to associate that cue with calm control. And then finally, integration. Combine it all in your warm-up. Now, when your physical movements match what you've already imagined in that stadium, your brain then locks in the connection even deeper. Combining all of it is where the magic really happens. Your body starts to feel light. Your awareness opens up. You're playing football, not fighting your environment. Now, most players don't do this. They think, it's fine, I'll settle after 10 minutes. But by then, their brain has already wasted fuel. They've been processing all the new things. And the biggest myth, believing that their adrenaline will fix it. Now, adrenaline doesn't settle you. It amplifies uncertainty. Yes, it makes your senses sharper, but it's focused on all the unfamiliarity. Your brain is more reactive and your body becomes tighter. And that is why players miss control, miss time, and misjudge early on in away matches. So instead of trying to fire yourself up, the elite will flip this. They create familiarity way before they've even stepped off of the bus. They engineer calm, and that's how they start fast. They stay composed. They stay in control. They dictate the tempo while others are still adjusting. Now here's what's happening beneath the surface. When you train this way, you're rewiring a part of your brain called the insula. And the insula links your body sensations, so your heartbeat, your breathing, muscle tension, linking all this to your emotions. And if the insula learns that a new stadium equals tension, that is what you'll feel every time. But if you condition it through repetition, imagery, anchors, so you're associating away grounds with focus and energy, That becomes your automatic response. That is why players like Gabe felt so comfortable at Wembley before the first whistle even blew. His brain recognized the signals, his body then followed. And this isn't positive thinking, it's neuroplasticity. And the more you train it, the more powerful it gets. This is what separates the elite players from the rest. They don't wait for comfort. They don't hope it's going to happen. They don't assume it's going to be okay once they get going. They manufacture it. They create the environments themselves. An environment where not only do they know they will thrive, but where they've spent the week preparing to thrive. They know that every detail from the prep for the game, the music, the sound, the smells, and then what they see and experience through their visualizations, all of this is part of their performance conditioning. So then every time you visualize, you're narrowing the gap between training and match reality until your brain cannot even tell the difference between home and away. And that is where that consistency happens. That is when you perform, not just when everything feels right, but every single time you step out on the pitch. That is the real elite standard. So here's what I want you to imagine now. Imagine that you're walking out at the away ground that you're playing at next. Noise everywhere, new smells, different tunnel, but your body is calm, your focus wide, and your confidence is not forced, it's conditioned. Every movement, it feels automatic, every touch sharp. You're not reacting to the crowd, you are dictating it. That is the feeling that you create when you train your brain this way. That is home game football anywhere. And if you want to build that for yourself, not just understand it, but actually train it, I'll send you the full visualization sequence for free. It's in my newsletter, and it's the same framework that I use with Premier League and Championship players to prepare for big games. And if you want to take it further, inside my football mind gym, you'll get guided visualizations that will condition this state automatically, just like physical reps, but for your brain. Now there's a link in the description below to get on the wait list, because here's the truth. Every pitch can be your pitch, your home, the place where you dominate play after play when you train your brain this way. And when you do, away days stop being something to survive. They become your advantage. That is how the top level of the top level think. That is how they prepare. And that is how you'll start performing to your best every game. Now go and watch the next video and continue to take your game to the next level and beyond.